the professionals. They've been studying this for eons. Okay, this is not the first pandemic we have had in this country, going all the way back to almost 100 years in 1918 when we had the Spanish flu, influenza. Okay, the scientists were right then and they're right now. We need to support the scientists. Okay, not our, you know, we need to listen to them. Our politicians,
even though they keep changing, because you get them one day they wake up and they say, everybody needs to distance themselves 6 feet and they need to wear the mask, wipe your hand, wash your hands, and then you see a big rally or something, nobody's wearing the mask, or you see Black Lives Matter, nobody's wearing the mask, and or you see a lot of protesters,
absolutely,
and nobody's wearing the mask, and you don't hear about a big breakout of COVID.
Well, I know recently when they did studies with the politics, the president had the meeting in the Rose Garden, and they count how many people got infected there.
Mm-hmm.
And then out west, the Sturgis motorcycle rally out in South Dakota, and they track everyone who got infected from that rally. But the point I would like to make, if you take what the scientists are saying at face value, these people who study this is their livelihood, okay? If you listen to them and take that path, you would rather err on the side of caution, okay? Now, as this disease is new to us, it is also new to the scientists. So it's constantly evolving. They're learning things each day, each minute, what they didn't know from the previous day. So we have to be malleable as a people. We have to be adaptable. We have to be willing to take change. So if the narrative changes and pivots, we need to be receptive to that. Because the scientists are learning like we are learning.
But let me ask you this.
It doesn't mean that they told a falsehood. They're not prevaricating. It's that they're learning something that they wasn't aware from the previous day.
Okay, we understand that. Okay, but with all their training, all of their, learning and working with this pandemic up to this point.
Yes.
Now, isn't there other countries that have vaccines? I mean, I don't know how true it is, but I've heard that there's other countries that have vaccines.
There's two of the superpowers, Russia and also China has a vaccine, which they're right now they're vaccinating their essential workers, which predominantly are their healthcare workers and their military personnel. So, China and Russia are both doing that at the present time.
And this vaccine is working, and it's actually bringing down the numbers?
Thus far. But once again, since we are contentious with both of those countries, Russia and China, their data has not been peer-reviewed by the medical journal of Johns Hopkins. Everything has to go through a peer review. You submit data, and then it has to be reviewed by the medical panel. And that, thus far, has not been done. So we're going what data they provide us that has been uncollaborated.
But what are their country numbers? I mean, for some reason, we seem to hear about the numbers. They have so many infected. They have so many has died.
Well,
so if they can keep that going, if we can continue to have access to that type of information, wouldn't we be able to understand or see the ones that are getting better, or see if the vaccine is working on our own?
Absolutely. But once again, we're taking their word. It's not validated because it's not a third party. You need a moderator to confirm what they're saying. To validate it, make sure that it's veracious.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there, but I'm just saying.
But look at China today. China locked down over 6 million people in a certain province in China that when infection rose. China is, authoritarian. They're able to lock down a whole country, a section, a province of 6 million people, and they're going to vaccinate and test each one of those persons. We do not do that over here in America because, we have a democracy. And our constituency and our citizenry would never go for anything like that.
Gary,
I'm here.
What do you? How many people we've had died so far of this disease?
I believe the number is close to 200,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's around 212. That's far.
Thank you.
Okay.
But there's two things that I want to say. Number one, the, we're involved with some medical people who have some treatments that have been approved by the FDA for emergency use on COVID patients. It's a trial phase. So we're involved with those type of things. It can only be administered to those people who are the potential of dying. So it's the worst case scenarios. And we've got approval. It's called emergency use from the FDA. However, the problem we're having is there's very few people now in that condition compared to 6 months ago. There's a lot few people dying. The medical community is much better at handling it. Does it have everything figured out? No, but they're much better at handling it. So that's the one thing I want to say.
Yes, the treatment is evolving.
Yes, the treatment. And what was your name, sir? I forgot.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams. Thank you.
I would say who his real name is after the program. I said after, right at the end of the program. We're almost at the end, Gary.
No, but he's very, Mr. Williams. I love what you're saying. You're bringing a lot of intelligence to this program. I think you're giving information that everybody wants to hear. As a matter of fact, please call in if you're listening. You want to talk to Mr. Williams, want to talk to Willie, 212-219-9695, 212-219-9695. And do me a favor, go to voiceofthekids.org or khannaforkids.com, KHANNAFOR kids.com, and click on the donate button so that Willie and we can stay on the air. Hey, this costs money, as you know, but we're providing a service. Hello, Mr. Williams. We're providing a service to the community. So please call in 212-219-9695. This is very interesting, Mr. Williams. Let's continue the conversation. And when it's over, Willie, I do have another unrelated announcement I'd like to make, but go ahead. Mr.
Okay,
Williams.
we still got about 12 minutes. Well, my only, we had a young lady on earlier, and she said that she definitely would not take any virus, and that was because she trusts in God, which we as believers we do. But there's other people, as we know, that don't trust into God and trust in God, and so of course, they need to take something because we've had 200,000 deaths. But
what do you think we need to institute to change that mindset?
That's what I was getting at.
How can we win the people over so they will take the vaccine once it is available?
Well, here's the thing. I think you won't have a problem with them taking the vaccine if they are infected. If they are infected, they'll probably jump on it in a heartbeat. But again...
But as a preventative, they won't. Okay. Well, we need to change that mindset and find out what we need to convince the American people to take the vaccine, because that's going to be a challenge. Whatever hurdles and obstacles there are out there, we need to bring those down.
Well, Mr.
What
Williams,
is your suggestion?
Mr. Williams, let me ask you a question. There are people like myself. I've never gotten the flu. I never take a flu shot. I'm 65, but I'm not particularly concerned about the coronavirus. If I get it, I think I'll be fine. I am not really interested in taking the inoculation.
Vaccine.
Yeah, the vaccine.
Okay. Is that predicated on your religious beliefs, sir? Or
no. It's I don't have a very strong opinion. I just have a general opinion. What would you say to somebody like me? Because I'm sure there's people out there that are a little bit afraid about this thing.
I would say, so you take no inoculations for anything so each flu season you do not go to your local pharmacy and receive your flu shot. Is that correct, sir?
That's absolutely correct.
And you haven't had any qualms on having the flu?
Never had the flu.
Never had the flu. So I understand your predilection for not wanting to take the vaccine, because it's based on factual
Well, he's never had a need to
personal. It's based upon
Exactly.
my personal
Right.
experience. My personal experience.
Exactly.
But here's what I think what's going on, and I'm just going to jump in just to say this, is that I think politics is getting into this vaccine cure and
yes,
the rush
it's
for it.
intermeshed deeply,
Yes.
intertwined.
Yes.
That's why what you're saying, Mr. Williams, is so important. It's so interesting. It's like we're getting the information without any prejudice, without any political
No
point
bias.
of view.
I understand.
This is very
he's
interesting.
He's not Republican and he's not Democratic. So that's a plus. So he's not going to be trying to lean towards this person, lean towards that person. But my issue was, I don't understand how our president can become infected with COVID-19 in 3 or 4 days. He's back up and working.
What does Mr. Williams say? What does Mr. Williams say about that? Is that possible?
I'll ask him. I'll pose this question to him. In that he's back up and operating, and there's no trace of it. He's not even contagious. How does that happen when they can do that for the president? I know he's the president of the United States, and he has access to a lot of things that a regular American does not have. But the point I'm making, wouldn't you want to put that out for, say, maybe you couldn't save the 200,000 that has died, but we've got so many right now on the respirators. We have so many that's infected, that's in the hospitals.
Right.
And this, what I'm hearing, is that the numbers here in the United States are rising.
That's correct. And at the current time, Regeneron, who is the pharmaceutical company that provided that antibiotic cocktail, has now generated over 300,000 doses for administration to be out. Now, what I want to put the financial...
What is cocktail?
Yes, the antibiotic.
Okay.
Okay, I just call it a cocktail. It's an injection, and each one of those injections costs $3,709. Okay? And it's that expensive. All right?
Wow, okay.
So, once again, once you have produced a bulk of that will drive the price down with anything. Quantity will reduce the price of that cocktail.
But did they know that cocktail would work? Did they know that the president would recover from taking this cocktail?
Yes.
They knew it.
Yes, they did.
See, now to that, I'm sad that you're telling me that, because if they knew that this cocktail would work for him, you've got, I don't want to say forget about the 200,000 that's already gone. You've probably got 1 million that's in. Well, I don't want to hype the numbers up. But that are already infected right now, that's on respirators and that's in the hospital.
Right.
We can't get that to them.
Right. But what's going to happen? You have to realize it's going to be a collaborative effort. You're going to have a lot of things, a lot of tools in our toolbox to attack COVID-19. Certain things will be a prophylactic, which is the vaccine itself. Once you get infected, what can you do? That's when the antibodies, that cocktail that the president was administered, that comes in, okay? So there's going to be certain things in our toolbox that we're going to be at the public disposal to utilize. We have these things now. We didn't have this 6 months ago back in January when the hospitals were inundated with COVID-19 patients, okay? Once again, it's constantly evolving because the science is constantly evolving by leaps and bounds. So we are better prepared for this cough and flu season than we were from the prior year, okay? Now the doctors have an alternative, okay? Before we had experimental drugs. Now we know we have something that will be effective, okay? And so now if you go in a hospital, your chances have just risen. For example, if you think of 20 years ago, when you had cancer, maybe there was no such thing as chemotherapy, okay? It's constantly evolving as we create tools, things that we can attack these viruses and these pathogens. And now, American citizens are going to be, this is going to be available to them, okay? They're going to have these.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Williams. And I think I just want
You're
to
welcome.
clarify one thing.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
my parents are still in old age homes, and my parents are older. But
Yes,
you
sir.
know, and you know the trouble we've had
God
in
bless
nursing
them.
homes. Yes, God
Yes.
bless them. But I would tell them to take to take the injection. I would tell them to
if
take
they
it.
were sick, though, right? If only if they were sick.
Well, I think that's the problem. It's only if you get sick are you supposed to take this. That's right.
The antibodies, that's correct.
Yeah.
The vaccine is the prophylactic, is the preventive. The antibodies are for if you have the virus to shorten the span
So how do you
of
know?
the.
How do you know if you're sick? Let's say I came home one night. I have a little headache. I feel a
Good
little
question.
woozy. You know,
Well, what? Hmm.
I know it could get worse. It could get really worse. What if I'm just feeling a little off and I'm worried? What advice would you give me?
Well, it really pretty much is predicated on your symptoms. Do you have you lost the taste of smell and the
Oh,
taste of
okay.
food?
All right,
Okay,
let's list this. Let's
right,
list these things. Taste of food is one. You
right,
lost your taste of
exactly,
smell. Okay, that's important. What else?
right. Do you have a temperature that is above 100?
Above 100. So you have to have a
Above 100,
thermometer. You have to have a
exactly,
thermometer.
and that's why they do a temperature check.
Right. For instance, I was just in a place, a public place, and they required me to take I went to my dentist.
Hmm.
I needed to get a checkup, and they required me to have it. Can I see Mr. Williams here?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
I'm looking at me.
All right.
Also, if
So temperature, can't smell, can't food. What else?
right. Do you have a dry cough?
A dry
Okay.
cough. That's the
A
That's
first time I've
dry
scary.
heard
cough.
that.
That's scary because
Okay. Not a mucus cough that you bring enough phlegm, a dry cough.
Now, if I have a dry cough and I have those other symptoms and I do cough, am I now contagious?
It depends on how long the cycle you are. There's certain times when you're infected with the virus that you are infectious, and certain times you're not, because it depends on the
Wow.
infection, how it's evolving in your body.
Because
Is it reproducing or it has stopped?
I'm thinking about the Rose Garden. Somebody probably went. They probably felt okay. They didn't feel 100%, but they felt okay, fine. But they were obviously contagious, right?
Absolutely. And once again, you could be asymptomatic, sir. And
Oh,
that's why
really?
this virulence is so deadly. You could be infected and have no symptoms whatsoever.
You know, there's been so
And
much.
that's the danger behind it. Because you're
There have been.
speaking to someone, his nose is not running, he's not coughing, he has no temperature. But
Wow.
in reality, he's infected. And not only is he infected, he's contagious.
Wow. There's been
And
so
that's
much
why this is so calamitous.
There's
Because
been
he's
so
talking
much
to someone, oh, he's okay, he's all right, he doesn't look
Yeah.
ill to me,
There's been
right?
so much misinformation about this,
Yes,
Mr. Williams,
yes,
because people say, well, if you don't have symptoms, you don't have to worry about it. If you don't have a
right.
temperature. But let's be honest, I could have went to my dentist. They took my temperature. I was fine. They made me wear a mask. I was fine. I could have been contagious.
Absolutely. So the procedure is actually superfluous. It's meaningless
Wow.
because
Wow.
you are not physically tested, Gary. You understand? You
So
could
how
be
do I?
asymptomatic. So you could
Oh
be in
my
the
goodness.
nurse's office and she's examining you.
so is this
And you can look completely healthy, but you're infected.
and you infected her.
Exactly. Now I'm sure you guys remember the case of Typhoid Mary from New
Yes.
York. She was
Yes.
immune to it, but she was contagious. You talk to Typhoid Mary, she's all right. She looks all right. She looks healthy. She doesn't look ill at all. She looked
Wow.
normal like everyone else and all that. And she infected thousands of people. And that's why she was isolated in quarantine to her death because there was no
Wow.
cure. And that's
Well,
why this virulence, this pathogen is so deadly, Gary. Because the
Willie,
average man could be infected and infect thousands. And
Willie,
no
this
one would be the
is
better, know at all that this person's sick at all.
Yeah.
Mr.
No
Williams,
symptoms.
Mr. Williams, you are an excellent guest. This is excellent information. Will you outdid yourself by getting him on the air. This is really important information that we're
Well,
getting out.
Yeah, he came a long ways to be here. Actually, where did you come from, Mr. Williams?
Oh, I traversed from Seaford, Delaware.
God bless you. Hey,
Wow,
You
listen,
will.
to be here.
you
It was
want
my
to?
pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
No, you're a great guest, great guest. Please call in. You want to talk? Ask Dr. Williams, I mean Mr. Williams, a question about COVID. Anything. We've learned so much that we had heard, but we weren't sure. There's, like Willie said, there's so much misinformation out there. There's so much politics out there. Hey, forget about it. Call in and ask us if you have a question about COVID, anything at all, at 212-219-9695. Go ahead,
Well,
Willie.
let me just jump in. I got to say, well, you're going to have to probably call in tomorrow. Tomorrow, we've got 3 hours to be here to talk to you about this, that, the other. We're going to talk about, I thought we were going to get to another subject, which is a heated
Hey,
subject.
can I just
Uh,
do a quick announcement?
you got to do it real quick. We're getting ready to cut off, and I got to hold on for a minute, Gary.
I
Listen,
gotta.
we've got Pastor Vin and Pastor Wynn will be coming here with the musical at 4 p.m. I'm sorry, from 5 p.m. That's right, 5 p.m. So we want you back on your radios, right back at this station at 5 o'clock this afternoon. You don't want to miss the program. We've got a great musical program coming up, and we'll be here tomorrow from 3 to 6. We'll have a lot of time to take your phone calls. We can't take them right now because we only got about another minute. Gary, you got an announcement you'd like to make?
Yes, listen, I want to make an announcement that Dr. Surajit Khanna, who couldn't be here today, we just had a fantastic press release. We just introduced new hope for juveniles released from incarceration. Hey, Dr. Khanna, as you know, is a safety advocate, he's an attorney, and he has partnered with the New York-based IPG Law Group, and I know, Willie, you know about this, to provide solutions for juveniles released from incarceration. We have formed a new division called the Division of Judicial Support and Juvenile Reformation Act. If you have anyone you know getting out of prison that needs a job, please contact us at contactk.com. Contactk.com. We have a number of different avenues that we have, like we have training on driving trucks. You can get a CDL license. That's very exciting. Contactk.com. We have a number of we've trained juveniles already, and we have also, if you're in the Pennsylvania Norristown area, we also do free guitar lessons. Contactk.com, and also when you go there at khanasforkids.com, we have a press release.
Yes, absolutely. We want to thank you also again for tuning in. I want you to stay tuned. Listen, we're going to be back. We got a musical coming up here for 1 hour, and then we're going to be right back here online with you from 5 p.m. right up to 6 with Dr. Wynn, and I'm sorry, Pastor Wynn and Pastor Vin. They will be here with a dynamic program, and I got to tell you, I'm going to see if I can get Mr. Williams to stick around for this next hour coming up, and if I can, we're going to have some more information for you. I thank God for him. Thank God for you being here. Thank God for you, Gary. Listen, just keep it locked right here. We'll be back at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and we'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. right on up to 6. So keep it locked. Don't you dare